For 4 years, people have been telling you Toronto home prices are about to crash. The Bank of Canada raised rates 10 times in 18 months. Sales fell to multi-decade lows. Every headline said the correction was coming. And yet, in June 2026, the average home across the GTA still sold for $1,058,000. Over $1 million, still after everything this market has been through. And in some corners of the city, it is worse than that. Last month, the average semi-detached house in Toronto's East End sold at 109% of its asking price in 12 days. On the average sale of $1.179 million, that is roughly $97,000 over list. Not on the exceptional houses, on the average one. Now, before you get angry at sellers, I need to be honest about the part about that number. Listing low to drive on offer night is a strategy, and East End agents, they do it on purpose. But the strategy only works when there's enough buyers in the room to compete. The fact that it keeps working is a tell. So you've been muttering that homes are expensive because greedy sellers ask too much. I'm going to push back on that today. Sellers don't set the prices. Realtors don't set the prices. The market set prices. And the Toronto market has 5 specific reasons for being this expensive. Some of them are not what you think. Reason number 1, and it sits underneath everything else. There are not enough homes. CMHC, the Federal Housing Agency, has estimated Canada needs roughly 3.5 million additional homes by 2030. And this is beyond what's already being built. And that's just to restore affordability. Whether the true number is 3 mil or 4, the direction is not in dispute. This country and this region especially has been underbuilding for decades while the population grew. And I want you to actually feel what that number means, because 3.5 million homes slides past people. The entire GTA has roughly 2.5 million households. The national shortfall is bigger than every home in this region combined. And that's not a gap you close with one good year of construction or one government announcement. That's a generation of underbuilding, and the GTA sits at the center of it because this is where the jobs are and where people are arriving. And here's the part that should worry you about the future. The shortage is about to get worse, not better. New listings across the GTA fell almost 13% in June compared to a year ago. And the new construction pipeline, it's drying up. Pre-construction condo sales have collapsed, and projects do not sell, do not get built. The homes that were started in 2024 and 2025 are the homes that will not exist in 2028 and 2029. Housing supply works on a 3 to 5 year delay, which means the shortage you will be competing against in 2029 has already been decided, and it was decided in the wrong direction. When you do not have enough homes, you have too many people who need one, prices hold. Even though the worst rate shock in a generation, they held. That is the single most important fact in this entire video, and it is one the crash headlines have never been able to explain away. Reason number 2, building a home in Toronto has become brutally expensive, and not because of lumber. TRREB's own CEO said directly in this month's Market Watch, development charges, the fees builders pay to the city, can amount to up to 20% of a new home's purchase price. Sit with that for a second. On a $800,000 new home, that means about $160,000 of that price can be government charges before a single wall goes up. The buyer finances that $160,000, pays interest on it for 25 years, and never sees it in the product. And you add land costs, labor costs, material inflation, and multi-year approval timelines, and you get a simple equation. If it costs a builder over $1 million to deliver a house in the city, that house cannot sell for less. Builders are not charities, and they're not sitting on secret margins either. When their costs rise, only 2 things can happen. The prices rise or the project dies. New construction sets a price floor under the entire resale market because nobody sells their existing home at deep discount to what an inferior new one costs. And when builders cannot make the math work at all, they do something worse than charging more. They stop building. That's exactly what's happening in the GTA right now, and it feeds reason number 1. If you're trying to make sense of this market as a buyer or as a homeowner, subscribe. Every week, I break down what's actually happening in Toronto's real estate with real numbers. And if you subscribe, it helps me keep on making videos just like this. Reason number 3, rates, and specifically the way Canadian mortgages renewals work. Think back to 2020 and 2021, when hundreds of thousands of people across the GTA bought homes or refinance at rates under 2%. In Canada, a mortgage term lasts 5 years at most, which means every single one of these owners have either already renewed or is renewing right now, and into a world where posted rates sit around 6%. Nobody gets to keep the pandemic rate. The renewal letter comes and the payment resets. And go back to 6%, that's not what people are actually getting. They're getting probably close to 4, give or take, up and down, but that is what the posted rate is. And let me walk you through what that renewal actually looks like, because the number surprises people. Take a buyer who took a $500,000 mortgage in 2021 at, let's say, 1.8% on a 25-year amortization. The payment was about $2,000 a month. 5 years later, they still owe about $417,000, and they're renewing at a balance at about 4.5%. New payment, about $2,600. That's about $560 more every single month for the same house, same mortgage, same family. And multiply that across hundreds of thousands of GTA households renew through 2025 and 2026, and you understand the mood of this market. So in Canada, high rates choke the market from both ends at once. Buyers qualify for less and think in monthly payments, not prices. And at today's rates, the payment on an average GTA home, many of them are priced out entirely. And sellers who renewed into higher payments can afford to sell cheap because they need enough from the sale to make their next move work. Fewer able buyers, fewer willing sellers, and the market grinds into a standoff where volume falls, but prices barely move. That is precisely what the last 2 years in Toronto looked like. I see from clients, they share with me this. And the conversation is never about whether to accept a lower price. It's about whether selling makes sense at all. Most decide it does not. And the decision quietly removes another house from your options as a buyer. Here's reason number 4. The expensive part of the market is exactly where everyone needs to live. Toronto is not one housing market. Right now, the freehold market, houses on land, sit about 3.6 months of supply, and it's tightening, with the average semi selling about 102% of asking. The condo market sits at 5 months of supply, with prices down 9% year over year. It's the same city, it's the exact same month, but you see the market moving in opposite directions. And what does that tell you? The competition is not for housing in general, it's for land, close to jobs, transit, and schools. The GTA keeps adding people, and the supply of houses on land near employment does not meaningfully grow. You cannot manufacture more ground-oriented housing in the West End or the East End. And that scarcity, it's permanent. And it's why the crash everyone predicted showed up in condos and doesn't really exist anymore in houses. And when you take one practical thing from that split, take this. The question is no longer can I afford Toronto, it's which Toronto market am I actually shopping in? Because the answer changes your entire strategy, how fast you need to move, and how hard you can negotiate. Buyers who treat this as one market keep bringing condo market patients to freehold offer nights, and they keep losing houses because of it. I see on the listing side all the time. Here's reason number 5. The sticker price is only the start. Toronto passed a 9.5% property tax increase in 2024, the largest in over 25 years. And the pressure on the city budgets have not gone away. Talking about insurance premiums keep climbing. Utilities keep climbing. Maintenance costs to an aging house, that keeps climbing. And most of Toronto houses are about 50, 100 plus years, which means you have to use real money every year for roofs, furnaces, and everything between. On the condo side, maintenance fees have been rising faster than inflation in many buildings as reserve funds need to catch up to some of these deferred repairs. I see this all the time with buyers. They can afford the house on closing day. Then they feel squeezed living in it because everything attached to ownership rose at the same time. So when you budget for the full monthly cost of owning, not just the mortgage payments, and understand what this does to the market as a whole. When ownership costs rise across the board, owners need more from their sale to make their numbers work. And that pressure shows up in asking prices too. So what do you actually do with this? If you're waiting for the big Toronto crash, understand what you're betting on. You're betting on that the region with a multi-decade housing shortage, a collapsing construction pipeline, and relentless demand for land, new jobs, suddenly produce enough supply to flood the market. The last 4 years were the best chance that this ever had. Rates spiked faster than any time in modern history, and the average GTA home still costs over $1 million. If it did not crash then, you need to ask, what exactly would cause it now? If you're buying, Stop waiting for the market to hand you a discount and start looking where the leverage already exists. Condos and condo townhouses are sitting about 5 months of supply, with sellers accepting under asking. This is where a prepared buyer wins right now. The freehold side is moving the other way. And every month of waiting, there's cost you leverage. And if you own, the expensive market everyone complains about is your asset. The same forces that frustrate buyers, the shortage, the construction costs, the land scarcity, are the floor under your equity. Know what your home is actually worth in this market, because it's probably not what the crash headlines told you.